1.2c is reviewing all fractions. We want to be able to add, subtract, multiply, divide, and simplify our fractions. So let's start off by reviewing how we simplify. So once we've combined by adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing, we need to look at our fraction and ask ourselves, can we simplify? Is there anything that goes into our numerator and our denominator? So if we look at our first example, which came to 37 over 45, well, nothing goes into 37 or 45. We can't simplify it, so that's our final answer. When we're looking at 12 over 40, well, 12 and 40 are both even, so we know that something must go into our numerator and our denominator. So if we think about the factors of 12 and 40, well, 2 times 6 is 12, 3 times 4 is 12, 4 times 3, and if we think about 40, 2 times 20, 4 times 10, and look at this. We have 4 as a multiple of 12 and 40. So we can rewrite 12 over 40 as 4 times 3 over 4 times 10. So now 4 divided by 4 simplifies to 1, and we're left with 3/10 as our answer. So we can do the same thing with 10/18. We want to ask ourselves what goes into 10 and 18. Well, think about the factors of 10. We've got 1 times 10 and 2 times 5. Well, 18, 2 goes into 18 because it's even, 2 times 9. So we can rewrite this as 2 times 5 over 2 times 9. So now 2 divided by 2 simplifies to 1, and we're left with 5/9 as our answer. Example 1. So we want to be able to multiply 2/4 times 4/5. Well, again, when we're multiplying, all we need to do is multiply across. So we have 2 times 4 is 8, and 4 times 5 is 20. 8/20, we need to ask ourselves if we can simplify, and we can, so let's think about what goes into 8 and 20. 4 does, so we could rewrite this as 4 times 2 over 4 times 5. So now 4 divided by 4 simplifies out to 1, and we're left with 2/5 as our answer. If we want to add 2/4 plus 1/2, well, the first thing we need to check for when we're adding or subtracting is a common denominator. So we have 4 and 2, which means we do not have a common denominator. So we need to think about the lowest common denominator, which in this case would be 4, because 2 goes into 4. We would need to multiply by 2. And remember, anything we do to the numerator, we also need to do to the denominator to keep our fraction equivalent. So we could rewrite this as 2/4 plus 2/4. And now that they have a common denominator, we can add our numerators together. 2/4 plus 2/4 would be 4/4, which simplifies to 1. All right, example 2, when we're dividing, remember we have our keep, change, flip. We keep the first fraction, we change the sign, and we flip the second fraction. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep 1/3, we're going to change division to multiplication, and we are going to flip 3/5 to 5/3. Now we have a multiplication problem, so we can just multiply across. 1 times 5 is 5, 3 times 3 is 9. 5/9 is our answer. 2/5 minus 1/4. Well, we're subtracting, so again, we need to start by looking for a common denominator. 5 and 4 are not common. So let's think about what 5 and 4 both go into. Well, the lowest common denominator they would go into is 20. So we need to multiply 2/5 by 4, which would give us 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 5 is 20. And we need to multiply 1/4 by 5 over 5. So 1 times 5 is 5, 4 times 5 is 20. So now we have 8/20 minus 5/20, and since they have a common denominator, we can subtract them. 8 minus 5 is 3, so 3/20 is our answer. 3 does not go into 25, so we do not need to simplify. All right, let's try a couple more here. So again, big things to remember are the differences between adding and subtracting versus multiplying and dividing. Adding and subtracting, you have to have a common denominator before you can combine them. So when we want to take 6/10 plus 1/3, well, we don't have a common denominator. So let's see, 10 and 3, our lowest common denominator would be 30. So we need to change both of these. So I'm going to multiply 6/10 by 3. So 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 10 is 30. And 1/3 we're going to multiply by 10. 1 times 10 is 10. 3 times 10 is 30. So now we have 18/30 plus 10/30, which would be 28/30. And now we need to ask ourselves if we can simplify. Well, 28 and 30 are both even, so let's think about what goes into those. Let's see, 2 goes into both of them. 2 times 14 and 2 times 15. So 2 will divide out, and we're left with 14/15. 14/15 cannot be simplified, so there's our answer. All right, next one, 2/3 minus 1/2. Well, again, since we're subtracting, we need a common denominator. So 2 and 3 both go into 6. So we're going to multiply 2/3 by 2. So let's see, 2 times 2 would be 4, over 2 times 3 is 6. And 1/2 we're going to multiply by 3. 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 3 is 6. So now we have 4/6 minus 3/6. So they have a common denominator, so we can subtract them. 4 minus 3 would leave us with 1/6. And 1/6 is already completely simplified. All right, 6/10 times, or I'm sorry, divided by 1/4. So again, since it's division, we're going to keep, change, flip. So we're going to keep 6/10, we're going to change division to multiplication, and we're going to flip 1/4 to 4/1. And now we have a multiplication problem. So 6 times 4 is 24. 10 times 1 is 10. Well, 24 and 10 are both even, so 2 has to go into them. So we could simplify. Let's see, 2 times 12 is 24. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 divided by 2 simplifies out. So we're left with 12/5, which is the same as 2 and 2/5. Then we've got 2/4 times 4/5. Well, this is just a multiplication problem. So when I look at this, I notice that I've got 4 in my numerator and 4 in my denominator. So I could write this as one fraction, 2 times 4 over 4 times 5. And I can actually flip these around since multiplication is commutative. So I'm going to write this as 4 times 2 over 4 times 5. So notice, now we've got 4 over 4 in our fractions, so these simplify to 1. So we're just left with 2/5 as our answer. So for this one, we actually simplified before we multiplied in order to find our answer. All right, let's try a couple more here. Again, multiplication. We've got 6/10 times 3/5. Well, 6 times 3 is 18. 10 times 5 is 50. They're both even. So 2 goes into them. 2 times 9 is 18. 2 times 25 is 50. 2 simplifies out, so we're left with 9/25. Nothing goes into 9 and 25. That's how we know we've completely simplified. Then we want to take 1/5 and divide it by 1/2. Well, division we're going to keep, change, flip. We're going to keep 1/5, we're going to change our sign, and we are going to flip 1/2 to 2/1. 1 times 2 is 2, 5 times 1 is 5. 2/5 is our answer because we cannot simplify. All right, 9/10 plus 1/3. Well, now we have addition, so we have to have our common denominator. So 10 and 3 both go in to 30. So I'm going to multiply by 3. 3 times 9 is 27. 3 times 10 is 30. And then 1/3 we're going to multiply by 10. 1 times 10 is 10. 3 times 10 is 30. So we have 27/30 plus 10/30, which would give us 37/30. We can't simplify that, but we could write it as a mixed number, 1 7/30. Last but not least, we want to take 2/3 and subtract 1/2. Well, again, we need our common denominator. So 2 and 3 both go into 6. So we're going to multiply 2/3 by 2, which would give us 4/6. And we're going to multiply 1/2 by 3, which would give us 3/6. 4/6 minus 3/6 is 1/6. I think we already did that one. All right. So for fractions, big things to remember is when you're adding and subtracting, you have to have a common denominator. When you're multiplying and dividing,